If you're not a patron yet, head over to patreon.com/EricMalachite. Link is in the description, where I published 1 to 2 short stories a month in the genres of cosmic horror, dark fantasy, cyberpunk, and dark science fiction. The first 4 stories are free to read, so you can get a feel for my work. And Into the Astral Lands, the story that shares the same name of this podcast, is also available on Amazon Kindle, Smashwords, Apple iBooks, and Barnes & Noble for free. The next story is going to be exclusive to patrons, and you can get access to it by pledging as little as $1 today. You'll also get this podcast a week early, and at higher reward tiers, you'll also get early access to short stories and rough drafts as well as artwork. Welcome to another Into the Astral Lands podcast. I'm your host, Eric Malachite, and today I'm going to be talking about the Twilight Zone because I've been marathoning the original series for, the past 3 or 4 weeks. Lots of beer and drinking involved while I've been rewatching it. And let me tell you, the show has aged so well. Some aspects haven't, but even the ones that don't age as well, with the science fiction aspects, like rocket ships landing on asteroids that have strangely Earth-like atmospheres and things like that, which we know to be false today, there's still the underlying theme that a lot of things that are impossible in our world are possible in the Twilight Zone. So the Twilight Zone was a huge influence on my writing, on my storytelling when I was a kid. I would watch it from time to time. I didn't see every episode or anything like that, but the general tone was a huge influence on me. And especially episodes like Time Enough at Last, which followed the character Henry Bemis as he attempted to just find a little bit of time in his day to read a book. He was a serial reader. He really loved reading, and his bitchy wife and his overbearing boss would not allow him to. And after stowing himself away in a bank vault and accidentally getting locked inside, an atomic bomb hits the city that he's that he lives in, and it destroys everything but him and the library. But before he's able to sit down and finally read all the books that he's stacked into categorized, scheduled stacks, he breaks his glasses and he's unable to read. And it's one of those classic episodes that it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what you think of black and white television, it is fantastic and it's moving. And a lot of episodes are like that. I think I'm on episode 30 of season 1 right now. And I guess we'll come back to this every once in a while because I think it's important to talk about this show. This show is fantastic. So a little bit of background for those of you who don't know what the Twilight Zone is, and if you don't know what the Twilight Zone is, it's on Netflix, and really, you need to do yourself a favor and watch this show. Even if it's just the highlight shows. Like, I think James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, has a list of his top 10 or top 5 Twilight Zone episodes. I recommend giving that a watch, too. I mean, but honestly, every episode that I've watched, the 30 episodes, which some of them I've seen before, some of them I haven't. So it's been kind of fun to go through those and experience those for the first time, and some of the other ones, the classics, for the second time. And the other episode where the suburban street, all of their power, electricity, their radios, everything, their cars stop working all of a sudden, and the entire street, the neighborhood, just devolves into savagery. And that's a great episode as well. That's in the first season. I don't remember what exactly it's called, but it's fantastic and you should watch it. I think the ending could have been stronger if it was just, left to say the lights coming back on and emergency responders coming in and finding that these certain savageries have taken place. People have committed crimes. I'm not going to say which crimes. For those of you who have not seen the series or this episode in particular, but really, come on, and the Twilight Zone's well over 50 years old, well over almost 70 years old. I think it debuted in 1959. Yeah, and I'm getting a little distracted here. So the Twilight Zone was and is an American media franchise based on the anthology television show created by Rod Serling. I'm reading right from Wikipedia because I'm lazy. Throw stones at me, assholes. You're not assholes. I love you guys. The episodes are in various genres, including fantasy, science fiction, suspense, and psychological thriller. And they usually include macabre and unexpected twist endings, which I'm a fan of, as long as they're not like M. Night Shyamalan twists, because most of the time those are bad. But usually the twist ending is something that's almost profound, and that's something that really influenced me, that style of storytelling, where there's this great lesson or something that at the end of the episode. And although I don't really do that in most of my work, typically... I've tried to in some of them, but usually I don't even really worry about that kind of thing. Usually the twist, and it's funny because somebody left a comment on my Facebook, my author Facebook, and was like, "Yeah, he always has a twist at the end." I'm like, "Where are these twists?" Maybe I just see them coming, and other people are just reading and like, "Oh, that was a great twist" or something. I don't know, but usually I leave quite a bit of clues and stuff in my stories, but I am once again getting distracted. The Twilight Zone has been rebooted several times as well. I think there's the original series ran from 1959 to 1964. There was another revival in 1985 to 1989. I think that was definitely in color. I guess Serling at the time, during the first revival, decided to sell his share of the series back to the network, and that allowed for the Twilight Zone revival. And then I guess there were Lost Classics from Rod Serling in 1994. And there was a second revival in 2002 to 2003, but that was short-lived. It says here a second revival was attempted by UPN in 2002. Oh, I remember that. That's terrible. UPN. Who remembers UPN? Nobody watched UPN. It was like, I guess they had Star Trek Voyager when they turned to UPN and became UPN. Open. I guess it was a broadcast in a 1 hour format with 2 half-hour stories. It was canceled after one season. It also had a remake, Eye of the Beholder, of an episode from the original series. Maybe eventually I'll get to those too. There's also a third revival. Third revival? What? In December 2012, it was reported that Bryan Singer was developing and executive producing a third revival television series for it. A writer for the series was not chosen. The program was not pitched to any network. CBS, which broadcast the original series and first revival, was reportedly interested. In February 2013, Singer told TG Daily that the project was still in development and that he hoped to direct the pilot and have A-list actors appear on the revival. Okay. The following month, he told IGN that a writer with whom he had previously worked was in negotiations to join the revival and that he felt passionate towards the original series and the planned revival. Okay. In February 2016, it was reported that Ken Levine would write and direct the pilot episode of the revival series. It was also reported that the series would be interactive. Oh, God. In November 2017, it was reported that Jordan Peele was developing a reboot of the series for streaming services. For the streaming service CBS All Access. Who uses that? Like, I think the new Star Trek show, whatever the fuck it's called, is on that too. I've heard that's good, but I also haven't heard much about it. Apparently, Marco Ramirez serving as potential showrunner. In December 2017, CBS All Access ordered the third The Twilight Zone revival to series. It was announced that the series would be produced by CBS Television Studios in association with Monkey Paw Productions and Genre Films. Jordan Peele, Marco Ramirez, and Simon Kinberg will serve as executive producers for the series and collaborate on the premiere episodes. Wynn Rosenfeld and Audrey Chon pronunciation will also serve as executive producers. There was also a movie. There was a game. There were games and literature, comic books, even music. Like, the Twilight Zone's all over the place. And it's inspired things like The Outer Limits. Do you remember The Outer Limits? That was also a big influence on me, but not as much as The Twilight Zone, because The Outer Limits was a little cheesy most of the time. There was also Amazing Stories, if you remember that, if you're old enough to remember that, which they usually showed on the Sci-Fi Channel before it was SYFY. Fucking idiots. And yeah, just the Twilight Zone is good fun. Oh, and it's like Twilight Zone is a major influence in Black Mirror. Whether Black Mirror admits it, I'm sure they do. I think in interviews they've said that, you know, Twilight Zone is a huge influence for them as showrunners and writers and things like that. And it shows. It definitely does, especially in the third and fourth season. Those episodes are so strong. And I recommend, if you're a fan of Twilight Zone, you should be checking out Black Mirror as well, even though it's more, you know, about the dangers of technology and social media and things like that, and sometimes gets into dystopian futurism. It's still it's such a great show, and if you love science fiction, you gotta check out Black Mirror. You just have to. What else? What else can I talk about the Twilight Zone? I mean, there's so much. There really is. I mean. What was the other episode that I thought was really strong was the one where this man is able to change his appearance constantly, and it gets him into a lot of trouble. That's a great episode. And the other one, the one where the guy goes back in time and meets himself as a child, that one's pretty good. I'm trying to think. A lot of them are great. There's another one, and follows this woman who is being followed all over the country as she's heading towards California on a road trip to. I guess she's trying to become an actress or something, and she's being followed by this hitchhiker who's always consistently ahead of her, and that one's great. Won't spoil that one because that's fantastic. There's another one. I think it's the same actress who is experiencing like weird deja vu moments and things like that in this bus station, and like she sees herself as a doppelganger sitting on the park bench as she's going into the bathroom and things like that, and people think she's going crazy, and that's a fantastic episode too. That's really creepy, and it's relevant because it's aged, and it's aged well, and it's timeless. Yeah. There's also the episode where a school teacher is confronted by a little girl who's trying to force her to remember a trauma from her past, and it ends up saving her life. I won't talk about spoilers in that one either. That one's fantastic too. Yeah, just binge watch. Why don't you join me in a binge watch of the Twilight Zone? You know what? I'm on episode 30, so you better start like right now. That'd be great. Yeah, and let me know. Let me know how it's going. if this is your first time watching the Twilight Zone, you should definitely like record your not record, but write down your reactions to certain things, especially Time Enough at Last. I think that's like the third or fourth episode into the first season. So yeah, that's such a good episode, such a good show. Anyways, I think I'm done ranting and raving about the Twilight Zone for one episode. I didn't really have much of a episode planned today, not like the previous episodes in the past. I just wanted to, shoot the shit for a little while, do something I haven't done in a while on this podcast, because why not? All right, well, if you like this podcast, if you like what I do here, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Ring that bell because YouTube is stupid, and I'll see you next time on Into the Astral Lands podcast. Oh, and comment or something, even though commenting and liking doesn't really do anything for me. Apparently sharing the videos really helps, and subscribing and ringing that bell. That's important. Even though we don't know what the bell does. There's literally no information about what the fucking bell does. But whatever. This is recorded for YouTube, so I guess you guys on other platforms are going to be like, what the hell is he talking about? But I bet you know what I'm talking about. You sit on the couch and you watch YouTube on your PlayStations and your Xbones and things. All right. See you next time. Bye.